Godzilla. Hello, everybody, and welcome into another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be reviewing Stop Motion, in which a 45-year-old man writes a movie trying to convince me that 18-year-old art students are very into stop motion animation. That's my review in a nutshell. Joining us tonight from Manhattan, New York City, please welcome John Schnars to the show.
The kids on the street around here are all talking about their stop motion projects. So.
Yeah. When I pick my kids up from school, that's all they're talking about. Next up from Indiana, please welcome Casey.
Hello. We haven't discovered stop motion yet in Indiana.
It's almost there. Give it another couple of years. And last up tonight from the bucolic Pacific Northwest, please welcome Ariel to the
Hello.
show. John, right before the show here, some patrons dropped BGH Bingo into the chat. Slack.
Yeah.
I think we've already hit 3 to 4 squares already this evening.
Somebody's getting close to a bingo.
Yeah, I mean, Casey did just adjust his mic, so somebody else got a square.
It has to be in the actual show to count in my view. You can't use the pre-show.
No pre-show? Okay.
No
Hey,
pre-show.
we didn't create the game, and we didn't create the rules.
I think Levi, who did it, gets to choose the rules.
That's up to Levi.
Levi, he can police.
I think it needs to be in pre-show because I want these people playing to be patrons.
There you go.
And hence watching
Incentive.
the video
I
version.
like it.
Eric,
It's
did you
marketing,
look
John.
up? I want to know. Did you look up writer-director Robert Morgan's age before?
I sure did because
I have him as 50.
No.
So.
Well, whatever. But I knew he was
Watch
Gen
it.
X. Only Gen X people write these things where they imagine in their minds that it's like you see a movie about an 18-year-old who collects VHS and they're like, I know the dude who made this movie looks exactly like me when that happens. Like, I just
Fair.
knew it. John.
He looks like the guy who made Mad God,
Yeah.
or younger, or slightly younger.
Like there's one
Watch
person on
it.
Earth, as far as I know, there's one person on Earth who makes stop motion, and it's Phil Tippett. He probably did this movie. He probably did the stop motion of this movie.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just being Eric. All right, let's do it. Let's take a quick break and review stop motion.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
I think my favorite part about this evening so far, John, is that the listeners are now getting the experience of having you play no or with them in real time. This is what it feels like when John won't play ball. He's arguing about the rules of the bingo already. He's like, this doesn't count. Like,
Look, guys.
Welcome to my world.
I feel like you shouldn't be able to get bingo 10 minutes into the show, which is what's going to happen if you use the pre-show. So.
Should we talk more about Airbnb, John?
Yeah, let's go.
John went viral. No, just kidding. John was continuing to rant over text this week about strangers and the Airbnb. We had multiple comments, John, about how it was their people's favorite part of the show.
Well, look, I aim to please. That's what I'm here for. So.
People like when you go full Schnars character, as do I.
Fair enough. We'll see what we got today for. I feel like it's going to be full Eric character for stop motion. I don't know that I've got a full John character.
I think that's
in me.
a safe bet. That's a safe bet. All right, John character, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, today's word is exemplum.
Ooh.
That's EXEMPLUM. It's like example with plum on the end. And it
Sounds
actually
like a Latin word that would be like on the Schnars family crest.
it is Latin. It does come to us from the Latin exemplum. An example or model, especially a moralizing or illustrative story. Exemplum.
Ooh.
Love it.
Yeah.
No origin? That's it.
Well, the origin is Latin. I think it's actually just like the Latin word for example, potentially. It doesn't give the Latin definition, it just says origin Latin. But
they taught Latin in my middle school. But they
we
would only
didn't have it till high school, I don't think.
They would only let the really smart kids take it, and I was not one of those, John.
You gotta have the ganas, as they said. From what was that movie?
You gotta have the ganas.
Yeah, you gotta have ganas.
What are you two talking about?
What's that? It's Edward James Olmos, right? The Stand and Deliver. Is that the name of the movie?
Oh, fine.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. It's the ganas is what the smart students or the students who, tried had. So.
John, Mikey P in the chat here, standing up for you. He says, John is the party of Law and Order.
Yeah.
That sounds accurate.
Exactly.
We all know how notoriously fun Law and Order types are. When you throw a party, the first thing you think is, let's invite some cops.
Let's look at the cops in here.
That's the bug we need to put into the patrons' ears. We got the bingo game they've created now. Now they need a BGH alignment chart.
Oh, that would be so interesting.
Like
People
Sex
need to
and the
get on
City
that.
style.
Yes.
I think people know largely, but I would like to see that written out. John, what we need is like a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah, I mean, don't look at me for that. So.
I don't know. With your extensive browsing of the internet, Schnars, I figured you'd be perfect.
True.
But a BuzzFeed quiz is like an old thing, so that actually might track. With
I was going to say that he might actually know.
Yeah.
I'm aware of what a BuzzFeed quiz is.
I know.
I'm not.
Does BuzzFeed even exist anymore? John, tell me about stop motion, please.
Yeah, so stop motion comes to us from Robert Morgan, the mind of Robert Morgan, director. He co-wrote the script here.
Director, writer / Gen Xer.
Yes, the IMDb says he was born in 1974. So, the only thing that I was as I'm scrolling down through his IMDb, he directed one of the shorts for ABCs of Death 2. Presumably, it was a stop motion short. I did watch. Ariel sent around a recommendation for The Cat with Hands. I think it's 2001. It was like kind of old. Yeah. 2001. The Cat with Hands. It's like 4 minutes long. You can find it on Vimeo and YouTube. I mean, it just showed up when I Googled it. I would recommend.
What did you think?
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it's great and so weird and really creepy.
It's very weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
Is it a shorter version of this movie?
No.
Well, it's 3.5 minutes long. It's not. It has nothing to do with this movie other than that it contains some stop motion.
Got it.
In any event, all right. So the main character here is Ella. She's played by Aisling Franciosi. We would most recently remember her as the stowaway in Last Voyage of the Demeter. She was like the girl who I think she spoke Romanian, I believe. Like she's the one that they like find hidden.
Yeah.
And then she also is like the main character in The Nightingale, which was the movie by the woman who made The Babadook.
Jennifer Kent. Yeah.
Correct. So that's her. She plays Ella. Ella is the daughter of Suzanne Blake, who is world-renowned, or at least renowned in the community of this film, stop-motion animator, who now has crippling arthritis. Yeah, and so her hands can't move, and so she's sort of acting as her mother's hands. Her mom is mean.
Abusive. Yeah.
domineering.
I'm glad you
There's-
picked up on that, John.
Yeah,
I would have
yeah.
been concerned if you were
It's
like,
not-
she seems all right.
It was very
It's not
subtle.
a great
yeah.
relationship. And this is weighing on Ella, who is sort of at a point where she's ready to start breaking out. As Eric has been joking, she is part of a hip friend group that all cares deeply about stop motion animation. Which, like, whatever. In the context of the film, I did not find that distracting, but is sort of silly. Certainly when viewed from the outside. But what happens is Suzanne, they're working on a movie together. Suzanne starts to she has a stroke effectively. And then at first Ella's like, oh, I'm going to, sort of finish her film. But then she meets a young girl who lives in her building, in the building that her boyfriend sets her up in to sort of like work outside of the home that she shared with her mom, where I guess there was like too much trauma. And this girl starts telling her about a different story that she should tell in stop motion. And she starts working on that. And then she begins to pretty quickly unravel mentally to the point where, and you sort of, it's not immediately obvious, but it's sort of made obvious, I would say, midway through the film. The girl is like totally a figment of her imagination. And so they begin to have this sort of darker and darker relationship between them. And it ends poorly. It ends with blood and some very gory stop motion animation.
Indeed. Okay, Ariel, what'd you think?
Okay. In a lot of ways, I feel like this movie is set up perfectly for me because I do love stop motion animation. I like slower art house films, but I actually feel kind of mixed about this one. I love the stop motion. I think it's really like grisly and gross and really fun. And I like some of the themes about like losing your identity while you're caring for somebody else, or losing your creativity when you're so focused on somebody else's project. I think all of that is really interesting. But I also found like the first 3/4 of the film to be like a little bit boring, if I'm honest about it. And I think that like the main character, we spend so much time with her, but I felt she was so flat and underdeveloped that kind of bummed me out. And then I also like really wanted the movie to go harder at the like starting in the middle or something. Like I felt like it was trying to do something bigger and it just never quite went there. And we do get some really great gruesome scenes at the end that I found to be super enjoyable and really fun, but I wanted like more of that stuff. And I also just think the whole plot of like the main thrust of the film is really like an artist spiraling into delusion, as art kind of takes over their life. And that's not a new plot point, especially for horror movies. Like we've seen that done a lot before. So I was hoping to get more of the like creativity around the stop motion stuff earlier on. Like anytime she was like digging at her body and there was like wax, I was like, yes, let's do more of that. Do you know what I mean? So I just wish it had gone like even further, but there are a lot of things about it I really enjoyed.
Does she have any weird itches that she could be itching? Yeah.
Casey.
I'm kind of right there with Ariel on this one. I enjoyed this movie overall, especially by the time I got to the end, but it was a bit of a slog to get there. I think I enjoyed the ending when things started going off the rails in this a little bit more than Ariel. I was kind of impressed by how crazy they kind of went with some of the things going on, especially with our main character, what she's going through. But yeah, there's not a lot of mystery to this, and there is a big hurdle, like a mountain to climb, to get to the good stuff. And it's not to say the whole movie's bad, but it is a very slow-paced movie. And it'll feel like a slog if you're not in the right headspace and prepared to go into it, which I wasn't totally there. But the nice thing is as I got through the first act and a half, and I started to feel myself tuning out and considered pausing it and finishing it the next day, something would happen and it'd be like, oh well, I gotta watch a minute to see how that resolves, and it kind of builds on that, starting somewhere in the middle of the second act, and that's what really sucked me in. There was enough that they throw in there and they throw something weird at you. It's like, oh well, now I gotta keep watching to see what happens. But by the end, I was totally engrossed. So it's an interesting flick. Plus, I like the weird aspect of it, going back and forth between the stop motion and whatnot. And I love the artistry of what they were doing with the stop motion. Even when he got into the gross stuff, it was just kind of fascinating to watch. I probably went into this hoping for more of like a Phil Tippett, Mad God type of situation, but I still enjoyed what I got. It's not necessarily going to be, I don't know that it's going to be top 10 for me, but I am happy I watched it.
John.
Yeah, I mean, like Ariel, this movie has some catnip elements for me. Um, I'm not even like a stop motion aficionado or anything, but from the trailer, I sort of liked where I thought this thing was going. I do think, if I can use one of my, my favorite of a favorite barometer, it goes like 1/3 or like 33% Cronenberg, when like if it had gone 60 or 70, I would have been like fully in.
Exactly.
I think Ariel, like to your point, the last like 10 minutes gets there. Like I was happy with where it got to. And even, there's a sequence where I think, is she in the shower? I can't remember where she is when she does the face thing. She's like,
Cool.
hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like that was great. There's a couple really good moments in this that are really good. I will say I broke it up into 2 viewings, and I think it helped a little bit because like I was getting kind of sleepy and for personal reasons, not just for the film reasons. And I was like, I'll pick this up tomorrow.
Tell me about your personal reasons, John.
I mean, we just had a long weekend. It was, Memorial Day.
Dude, I'm still shredded.
Yeah, we were on the road.
It's almost Thursday.
Yeah. So I was watching this. I think I was watching it on Monday night. I shut it off, and then I came back, and so I basically got the last like 40 minutes in like somewhat of a fresh sitting, and it helped for sure. I was sort of reinvigorated. I think Ariel, you said like the main character, she's a fine actress. I mean, we've seen her a bunch of times.
Oh yeah, I mean she's fantastic at Nightingale. She's so good in that movie.
This is just not. It's just she just isn't doing it. There's not enough from her. I thought the kid was really good. I thought the like creepy girl, that's a tough role to play where she has to both like they're not giving it away right away that she's fake. So you sort of are like, who's this sort of weird girl? And then she has to transition into being like out and out evil. And I thought she did great. Like she's maybe my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah.
I also thought like the boyfriend, like the other surrounding character. This is a small movie. I mean, we should just say like there's like 5 characters in the whole movie. So it is definitely a small budget. It is like a small film in a lot of ways. They were all fine. Like I didn't have problems with like it was really they hang a lot off of this main character, and putting aside whether or not she's a good actress, like the writing doesn't. We don't get enough juice.
No, and I think there's something about the fact that she's kind of lost her creativity, lost her personality, that where it makes sense that she would be kind of flat, but it doesn't make her compelling to watch at all. And there's no development in her character over the course of the film, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a very Eric thing to say. I really did actually get stuck on the idea of these like young, because it's not just her. Like I could buy a college art student or an art student or somebody her age. Is she in college? Is that right?
I think she's fresh out of college or something.
Okay.
I assumed like the other people that were making films also were like in her same program or something.
I could buy somebody her age, like a random student just getting enamored with this kind of like, ancient technology and like that I can buy. But then when they bring in this other woman who's basically like a corporate stop motion animator at the stop motion animator store, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" That was the point where I lost
It's
it.
the boyfriend's sister.
Yeah, who's in
right.
advertising,
This
and apparently
guy
all they want is stop
somehow
motion.
This guy somehow knows two women in his life who are both stop motion animators. That's
No,
insane.
Eric,
Do
it's
you
the
know
most
any? Has
popular
anyone
thing in this town.
has anyone ever met any? So the idea that there's like this court, and because that's a whole section of the movie where she goes in and they're like, she's like, I thought I was gonna animate, and they're like, no, you make eyeballs, and I'm like, this is insane. Like this.
I thought that was fine. Like I was totally good with that.
I thought it was really silly. Honestly,
All the
that
ads.
part of it.
There's like 17 advertisers who want ads that are stop motion.
How many eyeballs do you need, John? How many eyeballs do you need?
100. They needed 100. They said.
I know how many he said he needed, but how many did he really need is my question. So that I just thought was a little silly. And that I just like, again, there was something that rang like inauthentic about that whole setup to me. And which is why my brain went like, I know this is just written by an older gentleman. Like I can just tell that. Okay, I'll put that aside. The movie itself is long. It's not long. Spoiler.
No,
alert,
it's like 90 minutes. Tight.
It
90.
feels like an eternity, and it's slow. It's so slow. Like, it's so slow. Here's what I will say that's positive. It definitely has an atmosphere. It's like a vibe movie. It's not necessarily scary, but you know, the stop motion is creepy, and like when it starts moving around, when she's not doing stuff, like there's something there that works. I think my main problem with it is that the thing that's there that works is the stop motion. And the thing I couldn't get over was like, what if this was just a movie of stop motion animation, John? If you love it so much, just do it. Like, just do it. And instead, what we get is like, this is a film that's like navel gazy about the art of stop motion itself. There's also stuff in here that can be very easily, extracted and applied to art in general. Like there's this large overarching theme of like how art takes a piece of you and you give parts of yourself over to your art and like fine.
The isolation and
It's how I feel about this podcast every week.
Well, then I'm doing my job, John, if you feel that way. No, but like, I actually think for me, this is like a tick or two too pretentious. Like it is fart housey in the end, especially where it goes in the end. It's just so navel gazy, dude. I just couldn't do it. And I'm a nerd, John.
Yeah, you are.
I'm a huge nerd. I love stop motion. Do you remember how much I liked Mad God?
Too much, I would say.
Yeah, you did love that movie.
Like a problematic amount. I enjoyed Mad God. I one time in my life after seeing that, like it's been a year or two, I ran into someone totally in an unrelated situation who brought up Mad God, and I almost lost my fucking mind. Like a person that I was like, what? Yes, I've seen Mad God. Like,
You proposed to them on the spot. We have to get married now.
would it surprise you to know, John, that this person who did this was kind of weird? I, on the other hand, very normal. But no, so I don't like. I like it visually. It's got some real interesting moments. I don't know why the body horror. Like I felt like I was watching fucking Hostel or something. Like why is she digging in her leg? I'm too old for that.
That was
John.
graphic.
I don't want to.
I liked that part. I was thinking.
Ariel was like, "What's in there?"
Well,
Ariel,
okay,
let's go.
so I was thinking that she was going to turn somebody into like a doll, you know? So I thought she was going to start like jamming metal in there to create the kind of like skeleton because she kept showing that skeleton. I also thought at one point she was going to use her mom to make a stop motion animation movie, either when she was in the coma as like a torture thing or with her dead body.
Yeah.
Neither of those happened.
Yo,
she didn't.
you're sick.
I thought that when she killed those two people, she was going to like cut
sick
them up and
puppy.
use the meat to make something. None of it went there, and I
Ariel,
was really
you
hoping
should have
it
made
would.
this movie.
Ariel,
I gotta
are
say
you okay?
largely,
No, I love
Like,
That's what my
largely-
dad always asks me.
I
Stop
when we
Motion
talk
2
about
by
movies.
Ariel. Let's go.
this is just a declarative statement about Eric now. I think I'm too old for body horror, John.
What?
What?
I'm over it. I'm all set. I have a body and it's horrific enough. I don't need to see someone
Fair.
else's body related horror.
I thought it was
like-
great. I thought that scene was great, and like as Schnars and Ariel both said, with our lead actress, I thought she was kind of flat through this too, even though it's largely the script she's working with. But like that scene itself, the way she carried that, she made me cringe.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I did?
A+.
I looked away. I was like, I don't need this in my life.
When she pulls the little like tendon thingy out of her thigh, that was great.
Yeah. It was super gross.
Thank you.
Well, I love.
and I will say too, like, it feels like this guy really loved Hereditary. Like, I really got Hereditary vibes from the relationship between the mother and her. I was thinking about Toni Collette doing her little miniatures, right? And like, but again, like, there's no arc really, and so I don't really know what my takeaway is from it other than art. John, it takes away pieces of you, like.
Well, 'cause
but that's
there's
not
a
related
whole-
to her character so much. I don't know.
There's a whole sequence in the hospital.
Because that's
where-
what happened to the mom, right? Like the mom dedicates her life to this, and now she's all like,
Yeah, I mean,
gnarled,
whether
like-
she like got arthritis from doing stop motion, I guess that's like possible.
that's what I
don't
took
know.
away from that.
Yeah,
like,
I get. Yeah, I mean, that's a fair reading. I love the scene in the hospital where she's moving the mom's hand and taking the pictures with her phone, but that doesn't like again, it's sort
Right,
of
it
a
doesn't
red
go
herring.
anywhere.
It doesn't necessarily go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved like if I'm just to like throw out something I really liked in a place where this movie is like kind of freaky, but not in the body horror freaky way that makes Eric uncomfortable. The fox, when the girl is like, "Hey, you gotta make whatever." Is he called the Night Man or something? It's like
The Ash Man.
The Ash,
The Ash Man.
The
Night Man's
Nightman.
from, yeah, I know.
It's always sunny.
I literally just watched that episode of Always Sunny
So
tonight.
good.
Yeah, I guess they probably couldn't have called him.
Let's
Night
just
Man,
call
that
him the
would
Night
be
Man.
Yeah, when the Night Man comes, I love when she's like, "No, you have to make him like grosser." And they end up in the middle of this forest, maybe just in her head at that point. I don't know. And she's like, "Here he is,
knows?
here the Ash Man. You got to make him out of this fox." And at first she's like, "No, I'm not doing that." And then it's like a day later, she's like chopping that fox off. It's just that's to me, that's the part of this movie where I'm like, "Oh, all right, there's a grisly core."
Yeah.
There.
I like the little stop motion things, John. That's what I like.
No, I like. Well, can I just ask, right? Because the stop motion. Maybe I'm going to sound like an asshole when I say this, which is fine. Schnarr's character, so forth. The characters are
Please,
not.
God, tell me you're about to ask what the business model of stop
No,
motion.
no. It was more that like they're not good looking. Like they don't even. They look like vaguely humanoid, which maybe that was like
the little stop motion guys. I mean.
That's
Yeah.
the artistic choice that she got from her
Yeah,
mom.
I think they're just supposed to look creepy. Honestly,
I mean, that was well, certainly when she's making them out of decomposed foxes, they're not going to look
Yeah.
great and they're going to look creepy. And I guess it's also she's just a young creative and she's like finding her way and so forth. It lends it a like very creepy sort of almost like ethereal is not necessarily the right word. There's a I don't know.
There's like
There's
a
a
primitive
weirdness to it.
quality to the art
Yeah.
because it's not super detailed that makes it creepier,
It's
I think.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well,
to look
that's
at.
an interesting factor too, because reading up on this movie after I
Oh,
watched
dude,
it,
Mike's got it. It's a
Yep.
Tool video.
it is.
He nailed it.
But reading up on this movie afterwards, all the reviews and Wikipedia and everything talks about how all the models are made out of mortician's wax, and they call out
Yeah.
mortician's wax later. That's not really called out in the movie.
No,
I think
it
that
is
would've-
in the movie.
Is it?
Yeah, because
The
the little
one-
girl tells her make it out of that when she's like playing with the ball of it, and then anytime
Yeah.
she's digging at herself, like her face or her thigh, it's supposed to look like mortician's wax.
Okay, I missed the girl. I missed the
Now-
little girl mentioning it because like
It's like a
because of that-
10-second scene, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. I actually thought the stuff with the wax was like more watchable for me / more interesting. Like she's digging at herself and it's wax. Like
Yeah.
because that suggests the sort of blurring of the lines of reality
Right.
for her, right?
Well, that's the face sequence when she does the face thing. I loved that was one
Yeah.
of the
That was
better
cool.
shots in the movie for me.
It would have been interesting to see, like, when she's digging at the scenes we see where she's digging at herself and it's the wax, to see like a physical component of that when we're seeing her in her regular mindset, essentially, like she, essentially like she's harming herself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
I liked when Ashman turns into a full-grown dude. I thought that was pretty. I like that. The last 5 minutes of this movie are good in my whatever it is. Like the last 10 minutes of the
Can
movie.
I ask? And maybe this might be an Eric moment here, but so was that child like her inner child? Was that like her?
I think so, because they had like the
version of
same
her?
hair and everything, and they kind of looked similar.
And there's
I
one
assumed
point. The
it
point
was.
that I was thinking that was like she's speaking into the recorder and playing it back, and it's the girl's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's the woman's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously the strangle scene. With
Where
The
nothing
girl
really
is
happens to
definitely
the
in
girl.
her head. Like
No,
whatever
it's
you're
in her
saying,
head,
it's
but
like,
to me, like, because I like the through line of the idea that, like, in order to make something authentic, it's like she's getting in touch with her inner child or whatever. But I almost wish
Yeah.
they
Well,
had played with that more.
That's her artistic struggle with herself, because she'd been locked into and forced into working with her mom and working on her mom's project and didn't get to explore her own art. And that was her arguing with her inner voice on what her own art should be, because she felt stuck, and that was her inner voice trying to help her through it.
Your
Was where
enjoyment
it
of this
started.
movie will hinge largely on your patience while watching someone turn the head of a character 1/8 of an inch.
8
Millimeters.
A lot of the movie, right, is about the like physicality of the art form and the mundanity of it, but also then we're watching it. So like at some point you're like, no, I understand. Could we do it faster though?
Right.
Just-
I don't
Let's
know,
move on
guys.
now.
As we're talking through this, I'm like my enjoyment of the movie is great.
I know I'm going in the opposite direction. As we talk.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you think about like that monologue when she goes back to see her mom, I think when her mom was basically telling her she's never going to amount to anything in the hospital bed, it may have been after she died. I don't remember fully, but she is basically telling her, "You're a puppet. You don't have anything to do on your own and whatnot." That's her inner struggle coming through too.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's got her mom in her head for sure. I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of those relationships are interesting. I even think the part with her boyfriend and her, where they have like a conversation where she says like, "You're not a musician, like you don't actually make anything." Like
So brutal.
that was so
Yeah.
brutal, and it was hard to watch. And then he, fires back at her. I mean, I thought all of that kind of stuff was really cool. It's just that I still just
They're
don't think there
fun.
was enough.
They're fun moments, but I don't understand them in the context of the rest of the film. Because there's two
Yeah.
moments like that. The other one is when she tells corporate stop motion lady, when she tells her like, "I'd rather die than take that job."
Yeah.
But then she just goes back to being normal. And it's the same thing with the boyfriend. She says this one mean thing to him, and you're like, okay, like what the fuck what is the point of that in the larger arc of her character, that she says two mean things in the movie?
Well, no, but
I just didn't understand.
So that scene that's sort of like a fracture with the boyfriend that does precipitate like a lot of the end action.
No,
of
but
the film.
why?
Yeah.
What about is going on makes her just be mean randomly?
Well, the corporate stop motion gal is the boyfriend's sister,
Yeah.
so there's some tension
understand.
between her and the boyfriend for him
Well, and
not speaking up to his sister.
I mean, I
and
just think
defending her.
it's just a sick burn. I just don't
Yeah.
understand why.
Yeah,
it's
the
there.
point he's like trying to make and what he represents, to the extent he's I mean, maybe that's too strong, but he's a guy who like took a corporate job, and this is
Yeah, it's a
represented by the
sellout
fact
kind of thing.
that he wears a suit
He's mean,
most of the movie.
just without a suit.
Yeah, well, so and then that's why like when she goes at him about his music, which like we don't even know if he plays music. At no point is that like a plot of the film
No,
at
it's
all.
not.
No, there's a mention of it earlier in the movie.
Really, I mean,
Oh, he's trying to console her, and he's like, "See, it's like I don't make my music my whole life. You just have to
Yeah.
like have perspective, babe." Like he's
Yeah.
trying to like
I,
doing that thing that movie boyfriends
Spot
do. where
on
it's
impression, by the way.
Like, thank you. He's trying to do that thing that movie boyfriends do now. I've noticed, like it's like, and I can never tell if it might be intentional. I can never tell. This just happened in like 2 weeks ago or something, where if you go back to a 90s movie, right, a supportive boyfriend in a movie is just fully gaslighting the woman, like 100%, right? Now it's like these people, it's like they start to understand what it actually is to support someone, but they're still gaslighting. It's like now it's just like 60-40 supporting gaslighting. And what I can't tell is like, I'm sure in some instances that's intentional. Like they're showing like this guy's sort of there, but not really. This movie, I genuinely couldn't tell.
My reaction to the boyfriend for almost this entire movie is he's a fucking saint for putting up with what this girl
now,
is
see, in
putting him
that scene
through.
where he's supporting her, I was like, this guy's a fucking douche.
Sure. I mean, maybe he's a douche, but he fucking gets her the apartment. He is sort of trying to get her work that's paid work. He's like paying for all their
love this.
meals.
Of course you would be.
Like
I forgot.
any normal boyfriend
Oh my
at a certain point is
God.
just like, I don't know, you seem like a lot, and like, see you later. Like, I don't know.
Schnars is right though, because it leads to the whole. It leads back to that whole monologue from the mom in the hospital bed, telling her that she can't accomplish anything on her own.
John, can
Her
we
mom went in
please-
the hospital, and she had
we-
to have her boyfriend take care of everything.
Can you go grab your wife right now? Could you? do this?
My wife and I have been married 15 years.
Have you
Like,
ever
know,
told her you're a lot right now?
Probably. No, but like this. Hold on. Like, let's just be clear. This woman is going through like some extreme shit and not making it like really easy on him, or like really giving him
John,
anything
you really
in the
want to
context
piss
of the
off
film.
horror? You really want to piss off horror internet? Give me your take on the boyfriend in Midsummer. Right
No, come on.
Don't step in that
He's-
one, John.
He's like objectively a douche. That's
okay,
you know,
okay. All
Come
right.
on, like
That's likely
I just
answer.
no. I guess where I'm going is like, if anything, the boyfriend is too flat by being too nice this whole movie. He is unobjectively, or he is objectively like good.
He's a
no-
non-character. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
he doesn't
he-
really impact.
Yeah.
He does nothing but try to help, and like he is punished by the girlfriend.
Yeah, I get John's point. To make that boyfriend character more effective, they would have had to show them falling apart more to highlight her isolation that she's falling into, right?
His sister did suck. I
Have a
can't say-
reason to pull away.
this-
From
Yeah, I
him.
mean the way she stole her art and then was like, "What? You didn't want to sell it to me, so I just
Thank
took
you for
it. What's the
bringing
big
that up,
deal?"
'cause I've now been waiting for like 4 hours to say this. It's the plot of Reality Bites.
Oh, that's interesting.
I haven't seen that movie since.
Where so in
the late
Reality Bites,
90s.
like they're shooting, like Steve Zahn is shooting this documentary with all his Gen X, like we're like beat poets, whatever, friends. And then Ben Stiller is the corporate MTV guy, and they bring him in to help, or I think lets him look at the footage, but then he takes it and he cuts it all like real world style. So yeah, she sees
Yeah.
the idea and it's just
Yeah.
the
No.
same
I mean, the sister / corporate stop motion person, which is just ridiculous.
he's more Winona Ryder.
She's a complete tool.
she
Other
sucks.
than she procures LSD for her, which is chill.
Oh my god, the idea that people okay. Have you ever taken LSD, John?
I have not actually.
Casey, have you?
No.
Ariel? I don't know if you'll tell me or not. The idea that anyone on Earth,
Who knows?
the idea that anyone on Earth who's had experience with acid would want to, so maybe she's never done it before, so you could maybe give her a pass. At that party with all that psychotic shit going on, you could do it on a normal day with normal shit, and the tiniest thing in the world could send you off on the worst fucking trip of your life. Not to mention this like literal horror house that they're in right now. But the fact that this girl
The
just
lighting was so intense.
dude, that weird like dummy face thing, like the fact that this other girl's like, sure, here's a tab. She doesn't say, hey, maybe cut that in half for your first time, or like just batshit crazy. And also like trips don't just end after you leave a party after 20 minutes. First of all, it takes like an hour to kick in, and that's like the next 8 hours of your life, bro. Like we just cut from that scene and that's over. Like she's fine.
Yeah, but if
Well,
you
but she never
follow
actually
along-
took it.
Yeah, she never took it
Yeah.
because they found it
She
in her
didn't
pocket
take
later.
it?
No.
Oh, okay, I missed that part.
That was
Yeah,
all just her.
Yeah.
Still.
You know what I think part of the problem with this movie is for me is that I think it really feels like it was made by somebody who's only really made short films before and doesn't understand how to make like a long form narrative, because there are vignettes within this movie that are really,
It's
really
super-
great, but they don't feel like they're connected enough.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a short film expanded. For sure.
I mean, that's it. It also feels to me like a person who got to make their dream movie to a certain extent and fucking went for it and had a limited budget, but because that's
Yeah.
what I mean. How many people are working in stop motion and get to make a feature? Period.
Oh God, yeah, no,
Yeah.
According to
that's
this
true.
movie, according to this movie, John, thousands.
No, they're all making commercials for the hundreds of stop motion animation commercials that we see.
No, they're all
apparently.
making eyeballs.
Yeah, yeah. It's just
No,
We
you're
got
right though,
eyeballs.
John. And like the cat with hands, like that short film is so creative and so
Yeah,
interesting
it's
and
really good.
really creepy. It's really good. So I understand why somebody would give him like a feature length film. And for the most part, I think this is really great. I think there are some really excellent scenes in here. I just think the overall thing didn't quite work for me.
Ariel,
Yeah.
all the way.
to be clear, that short, The Cat with Hands, that is very good, is from 23 years ago.
I
So
know.
he's,
It's very old.
he's been like, hopefully
Doing some stuff since
getting
then.
work
Yeah.
in between.
I could agree with that, though. I think, especially this being his first like feature length debut, I think he needs some help with some pacing, probably some editing to make things flow a little bit better. And otherwise, I'd be curious to see what he comes up with next.
Oh
There's
yeah,
some weird
I'd watch
shit here.
another one. For sure. I mean, just even like her legs crumpling in that scene, like she's
Oh, that
one of
was
the
great.
dolls, like that was really cool. Yeah.
I love the sequences where it passed back and forth between the stop motion and her in real life, and back and forth, those transitions and stuff. All that stop motion work was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, exactly. When that stuff accelerates, there's some cool stuff that's happening for sure.
Yeah, it's just that first act really that I think could be tightened up and could solve a lot of the issues.
I think the
here.
whole movie's slow.
It's yes. I don't even dispute that really.
I felt like a young stop motion animator, John, being forced to make endless numbers of eyeballs while watching this movie.
That's so harsh.
We all know how that is when
Only
we're
the
working in the
eyeballs were
stop
my
motion
own.
animation minds.
Hi ho!
The eyeball mines. I
Yeah.
love it. Oh my lord.
You know when she's digging in that dude's head at the party, did that really happen, or is that part of her like psychotic break?
That was gross. I didn't want to see that either. Speaking of
Wait,
horror.
I can't even remember.
Somebody like
He gets-
hits the guy over the head
There's
with a
fight,
bottle
he
and
gets
it
hit there
like
with a bottle, and she's
and
like,
she's just, like,
"Nee,"
putting
she's
her
just
finger-
poking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh. I don't know.
because he seems to just be letting her, you know?
Yeah. He's out of it, to be clear.
That's probably true.
That
John.
dude had a rough time.
Comment of the evening goes to Liz, who says Eric ain't wrong.
He's just sucking up there.
Bias.
We all
Correct as
know.
usual.
Yeah.
All right, let's round it out here. Would you recommend this, Ariel?
That's a hard one. I actually think I would, just because some of the stop motion stuff is really cool, but like it's gonna drag. Just know that.
Casey?
I'd say yes. It hits Shudder this Friday, and you haven't seen anything exactly like it before, so it's worth it for that.
John?
I'm also saying yes.
Shut. Okay. I will be the lone voice of reason and say no.
That's fine. No,
Although I'll be honest, I was actually expecting to be the only person who didn't really care for it, so I'm happy to have a little support.
Everything's
We
right
aim
in
to
the world.
please.
All right. That's it for stop motion. Let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back. Man, the YouTube chat is popping off tonight. So just, this is a good reminder. So you can, if you go to patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror, you can get a live stream of the show. And then if you follow that link to YouTube, there's a live chat and we can see the chat while we're recording. Zombie Girls Podcast, we know who that is, says, Ariel keeps threatening to make me watch it. She also made me watch Cat with Hands.
I did, yes. She's talking about the Nightingale. I've been threatening to make her watch it for years now, basically since we started More Deadly.
Wait, wasn't that the Australian Outback? Oh, man.
Yeah.
A hard movie, but really good. Like,
it's so good, and I want her to see it, but
yeah, I'm with you on that.
she's not wanting to very much.
Then, John, some heated debate about whether or not there should be a square added for mentions of John mentioning Cronenberg.
I mean,
that's a probably bet. Yeah.
You're not getting 100% on that, but it's frequent.
What else we got? Mike saying Eric still has the Mad God Yule log going. Do you guys remember that on Shudder?
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's right. I forgot about
There was
that.
a Mad God one. That was pretty sweet.
Was a good one.
There was one more I'm trying to find.
Take your time.
I won't say who this was. I had acid in my fridge forever. The one time I bought it, ended up being too afraid to take it. I've taken acid like a couple times, I've taken mushrooms more. They're like much more handleable, I would say. Although you can still go to space if you take too, like it can still go bad.
I'll be honest. I've always been afraid of it. So I never got there.
I always tell people, if you haven't done it, don't start as a fucking adult. Like the time to do it is when you're a kid with zero responsibilities. That's the time to do it. Yeah. There's way too many things you could potentially think about as an adult that will just ruin your next 8 hours.
Yeah, I don't want to get up there and then all of a sudden, start being sad about my finances or something.
Oh God, that sounds so depressing.
I know.
Here's a good comment, John, from new commenter James. I was told if you compliment Eric, who's very handsome, your comment gets featured.
Turns out you're right.
Oh, James.
How about that?
So, yeah, no emails this week. info@bloodygoodhorror.com. Casey, you want to hit us with some threads?
Yeah, we got a couple good threads out here. First up, from the drummer from Foghat. Do you think Doll Man or the Puppet Master puppets would beat the little bastards in this movie up?
Man.
Probably.
I was never really into Puppet Master, but I do respect that it's like one of the weirdest things in horror, just generally.
I mean, one of their puppets spits leeches out of her mouth. These two puppets don't really do much except for like touch your face.
Yeah, that's true.
There was the thing, and it's actually, I don't know, this is one of those, we didn't even get into it, where is it Ashman takes the egg out of his mouth and puts it into her mouth. The film actually opens with the egg too, if I remember. It's like the opening shot of the film.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the egg.
It's no leech, just to be clear, but it's it's coming out of a mouth.
It was pretty gross when he stuck it in her mouth too.
Yeah,
I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up, Kalanat asks, what is your favorite movie that you own physical media of?
Guys, I just threw out my last remaining DVDs.
What? Why?
I found the sleeves, and I was just, because Errol, we live in an apartment. It's
yeah,
not
that's fair.
enormous.
So do I.
We're like constantly clearing shit out, and
I have all of my old DVDs. Like I got rid of all the cases like 15 years ago, and they're all in like little paper slip cases inside of like a tote. I do keep my Blu-rays, which I've got, I don't know, like maybe 30 Blu-rays or something, but I literally couldn't tell you the last time I put a disc into something. It might be 10 years.
Well, what's your favorite VHS? Because you've got
I have a really pristine copy, like an original run copy of Chud that I'm very proud of, John.
Oh, that's cool.
And I also
movie.
have 2 copies of Sleepaway Camp 2, which is very obscure and one of my favorites.
In case one of the copies goes bad.
You never know. I just bought a Jason Lives at Horror Hound Weekend. I'm looking at it right now. It's on my shelf above my head, John. And I also, my biggest oddity that I own, and I ran into someone else who knew about this at Horror Hound. that in the like early 2000s, Amazon somehow owned the rights to the burning on VHS. That's all they owned, just the burning in VHS. But they did not own the rights to the artwork. And so when you bought it from them, it came in a generic gold Amazon VHS box. It just says
Weird.
like Amazon Classics or something on it. And now it's like a collector's item that I just happen to own.
Bizarre.
There you go.
I never got into the collector like physical media so much, like the big fancy Blu-ray sets and stuff like that. But probably my favorite, because it's special just to me, is Six String Samurai on DVD.
Nice.
I love that movie, and
You're the only one that owns it.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I own like an obscene number of DVDs and Blu-ray, but unfortunately they all are in boxes in my dad's garage in a different state. So I don't have access to any of them right now, which is sad. But I would say my favorite is probably a Universal Monsters like box set collection of Blu-ray. Yeah.
Like I don't even own a Blu-ray player anymore.
Oh.
I have a Blu-ray player that's sitting on my shelf next to the TV. I don't think it's been hooked up to the TV for at least 7 or 8 years.
I know.
I mean, those got to cost what, $15 now? Like you're like $20.
Man, yeah, they used to be stupid expensive.
Do you don't have like a PlayStation or something?
No.
Yeah.
I do have a little tiny external Blu-ray drive that will burn Blu-rays. Never. I don't think I've ever used it.
There are just so many movies these days, though, that you can't get streaming anywhere and that you can't buy digitally. Yeah. So, like, I have a huge collection of, like, film noir that you can't get any other way. Like, there's no other way to see them unless you go to a festival. So, it's worth it for that.
I have other means.
Yeah, I will buy...
I don't know how to do that, okay, Casey?
I know Casey's email
Casey.
address.
So, there's also some very generous BGHers that have pretty sweet Slack or not Plex servers. But the other thing is, like, I just buy, as you know, John, there's certain movies I just watch over and over.
Yeah.
Those staples, I just have bought them on Amazon Prime Video.
Sure. Yeah.
So, like, I can go watch Return of the Living Dead anytime I want. Mm-hmm. I can go watch Session 9 or The Blair Witch Project or, like, things like that. So that's my...
Yeah, well, and it's like, even if they become available on another streaming service, it's like, I don't want to have to fucking think about it. I know where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The horror ones, too, are frustrating, the horror classic stuff, because I feel like it's the kind of shit that periodically will just disappear. Like Friday the 13th will just disappear, and suddenly it's like, hey, do you want to pay for Stars for this? And I'm like, fuck you, Stars. I hate Stars so much. No, I'll buy it on Amazon. Sometimes you can't even buy it on Amazon when Stars has it, which is infuriating.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's like 28 Days Later right now. I was trying to watch that the other day, and it's like nowhere.
Yeah.
Can you not? You can't even rent it?
No.
Whoa. That's, yeah. I mean,
I
I know
that or
those
the
movies
sequel, I don't
exist. It's
remember.
like pretty rare that I come up on something that you can't get anywhere.
Old Boy for a long time you couldn't get anywhere, and you
Yeah.
couldn't even get it on DVD.
I had that on DVD back in the day.
Yeah.
That was one of the ones I threw away, actually. So,
There's been a couple. There's been a couple recently I've been surprised by. They were older movies, probably like from the '80s, and I couldn't think of a title off the top of my head right now. But some of them were like comedy movies and stuff too that were fairly popular back in the day. You figured be around, and I'm always surprised when I get on Just Watch and find out that they're not anywhere.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's crazy.
All right, we got one more question out here, coming from Jimmy McGreeson. What is your favorite stop-motion creature in a horror movie? Mine are the little bastards from The Gate. Maybe everyone in Paranorman, though now I'm conflicted.
The Gate.
Basket
the little,
case.
Basket
Yeah.
case.
Wow.
The little guys, demons from The Gate, scared the shit out of me as a kid. That's a really good pull.
The Gremlins were all stop motion, right? I assume. Or were they animatronic? Now, it's been long
There's
enough.
some
that-
stop motion.
That's
in
a
there.
good question. There's both.
Yeah.
I think it's both.
Gizmo's definitely animatronic or stop motion, I would think.
The well, I think when their bodies are not really moving, it's a combination of like puppets, and then there were probably gizmos. There were probably servos in their face to do the expressions. But anytime you were seeing them like full body moving around, then you're going to stop motion
Yeah.
territory.
Yeah.
'Cause you can't
The
hide
correct
it.
answer to this question is Brain Dead with
Oh, that's a good
virtually
That is a good
every part of
point.
that movie.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the guy in Mad God with the big Rube Goldberg machine where he's getting poop.
No.
I was going to go OG and go with the skeletons and Jason and the Argonauts.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I
Those
just
were
showed
pretty
that to my kids, and they
Those
were
were
like,
revolutionary at the time.
not interested.
Evil Dead 2, when Ash's dead girlfriend comes out of the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some good shit.
See, I like Ariel's idea of Belial, but if you visit the extensive stop motion communities on the internet, they would argue that may be more of a puppet than stop motion.
Probably more of a puppet.
But I thought it was a combination. I thought sometimes it was a puppet, but then when he like moves
Yeah.
across the floor, it's
I
like
think that
actually
counts.
stop motion.
They're
I
definitely.
honestly don't know. I wanted to
that's
make
why
a
he
stupid
looks so
joke
different.
about the extensive stop motion communities on the internet.
I mean, while we're
Well,
on,
listen, it has to be extensive on the internet if there are so many people in real life talking about stop
Exactly.
motion.
while we're on Henenlotter, do you guys remember Bad Biology? You ever seen that movie, Eric?
No.
Yeah, that's been a
we
long time.
reviewed it. Yeah,
We did.
it
We
on the
reviewed.
show.
That's not. I mean, that's the only time I've seen it. There's like a giant detached penis that is.
That's
Yeah.
true. You mean
committing
you don't
murder.
have
Cool.
you don't have Bad Biology on your Prime Video, John?
It's that's definitely stop motion from what I remember.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for Threads, Eric.
Rachel says, I just got my greedy hands on a copy of Mirror Mirror on VHS with the holographic mirror. What is that
Nice.
movie? I don't know what that is.
It's the only one I know is that it mirrors with what's his name from 24.
Bad news about the Puppet Master series. It's gone full right-wing Nazi. That
Yeah.
doesn't surprise me because here's why. And I brought this up in the show before. So I'm on like full moon, like press email lists. And routinely they send out emails about these I think maybe they don't do it anymore, but for like 20 years they did this. They would be like, hey, check out our bobblehead collection. And they were literally, I'm not even going to say what they are. They're like, it's the most racist shit you've ever seen in your life. That's
Yeah, they've
Yikes.
gotten bad the last
Like-
few years.
shockingly racist, these bobbleheads. And I was just like, okay, like what? People buy these and put them in their homes? Like, holy shit. So like
Yeah.
I've always kind of felt like that dude was a little off.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a vocal supporter as well. Of the,
Great.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's just something else for Puppet Master fans to feel bad about. Other than being Puppet Master fans.
No, I went through and rewatched a bunch of those last year. I think Joe Bob had one of them on, I believe, or he had a Charles Band night, and I ended up watching a few of them after that. And they've gotten bad.
I think I've only ever seen the first one.
I mean, I saw the first one when I
The
was
first
like
one is
10.
almost unwatchable.
But
All right.
is Mirror Mirror really quick a Julia Roberts movie? Is that what she's
Yes.
referencing? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the like Snow White.
Snow White.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, there is a lenticular cover of, or is it lenticular or is it? It's like raised. It's Jason Goes to Hell, but it is like it's shiny. It's almost like foil.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember the mask in that one is like silvery and it's raised. It's like bumpy.
Yeah. I remember that
Me?
coming out on VHS when I worked at the music store back in college.
Yeah, I remember the VHS cover too, actually.
All right. Is that it, Casey?
That's it.
All right. Agent of Trioxin says, "Is cinema still dead?"
Kind
I
of.
mean, if it was, this didn't fix that.
More so in the theaters than
Yeah, I think the theaters are where the problem is.
I think the theater experience is dying off.
Our friend Zach, who we met at
That makes me sad.
Cincinnati, says over under between this and Mad God. I mean, come on, friend.
Yeah,
It's
Mad God for
it's
sure.
Mad God. Only one of those movies was made by Phil Tippett.
Eric's obsessed.
Only one of those sort of movies has a coherent narrative structure.
Yeah. Only one of them has a guy who gets pooped in his mouth.
I don't think that's the selling point you seem to think it is, Eric.
You know, for some folks.
It's not that he is getting poop in his mouth; it's the way it's happening.
It's very creative. I give you that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Have you seen it, Ariel?
Yeah, I think I was on that episode with you guys.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. So
Just
you've
so
been,
never
so you've
forget.
had to endure
It's been
this
a while.
conversation before. is what
Yeah.
you're saying. I gotcha.
Just a reminder while I'm thinking of it, Eric, you still need to. There's an episode of Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne. It's a great show. There's a whole episode that is essentially based on Phil Tippett, played by Nick Nolte.
You're funny because I hate that show.
Oh, I love
What?
it.
Why?
I tried to watch it. I hate the shtick. I hate the fucking story. I hate every ounce of that show.
Oh, it's okay to be wrong sometimes. That show
I'll
is
just go
great.
if I want that vibe, I'll just go watch Columbo again.
I mean,
Yeah.
Columbo's excellent, but so is Natasha Lyonne. So.
I like
Yeah.
her. I just don't like the show. I think I'm over like weekly serialized shows. Like I'm just not interested in anymore. I feel like I'm watching CBS or
Oh,
something.
I want more of that.
And
I
I'm
don't
the
always
old
want
man.
the big, complicated, overarching plot.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
If I want weekly serialized stuff, John, I'll just go back and watch the greatest show of the 90s, Renegade, starring Lorenzo Lamas.
Oh, I was like,
God.
wait, what?
And Kathleen Kinmont, who was in Halloween 4 and Bride of Reanimator.
Oh, well, since you put it that way.
She was.
Just saying. Just saying. Levi, he of our BGH Bingo, the creator of BGH Bingo. Speaking of stop motion, have any of you seen Tetsuo the Iron Man? I
But
saw
not
it the
for
weekend.
many, many years.
I saw the weekend Joe Bob did it and hated it. Just like I can appreciate it as a out there creative thing, but dude, I couldn't make it through it. It's unwatchable.
I've never seen it. I am familiar with it.
Yeah, I haven't seen
aware
it
of
either.
It's pretty
I don't
nuts.
remember it being
It was-
unwatchable, but it is really weird.
It was also, to be fair, like a second. It was when he was still doing the double features. So at that point, it was midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's past your bedtime. So
What expectations, if any, do you have for Beetlejuice? Did you see this trailer, John?
I saw the trailer again yesterday, and
I mean,
I'm in.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it is great to see Michael Keaton hamming it up. Like he literally, he has the benefit, of course, of like there's so much makeup, right? You can just make him look the same. You don't have to.
Well, he looks huge. Like I don't know
Yeah.
if he looks like really big and puffy,
like a
but
little
like
bloated.
That was my
Yeah.
takeaway.
But no, like it's he has not missed
so
a beat with
mean.
this. He's not missed a beat with this character.
no, he's going
And
right
that's
at it.
great. But like, I refuse to get excited for this movie because I'd rather be pleasantly surprised if it turns out good. Just
yeah,
giving
getting too
Tim-
excited is going to lead to disappointment. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
Giving Tim Burton's track record, like
Yeah, no, that's fair. Suzanne and I just watched, not in the last month, the episode of 30 Rock that Michael Keaton's on, the double episode where he's like the air conditioner repairman.
Yeah.
It's so fucking
He's the
good.
best.
He's so good.
I will say, I wonder if anyone else agrees with me here. Like, man, it's just more fucking snake eating the tail, John. Like capitalism. Like, really, we're making a Beetlejuice sequel? But I was like, couldn't someone, a really smart fashion person, couldn't they have come up with like what a modern day Winona Ryder's character would have worn? Does she have to have the same bangs, the same outfit? Like, couldn't we have iterated on what that character might be
So-
wearing like 30 years
I mean, I
on?
agree because she was supposed to look so like cool and offbeat then. So
Yeah.
You
just
would-
having
like,
a rehash of that doesn't really make a lot
Couldn't
of
we
sense.
have evolved it but still kept her
Yeah.
as cool and offbeat, right? Like, it just felt strange to me.
I'm willing to
I'm-
wait to see how they explain it.
Yeah, I'm leaving the door open because I actually think, based on the trailer, with Jen Ortega and Winona Ryder, and then bringing back a couple of the like, it does just enough to sort of make me believe they can pull off the narrative thing here.
I did get really excited. Her name is escaping me, but the mom that she's
Catherine O'Hara.
Catherine O'Hara, yeah, she's amazing. That should
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, she's always excellent.
Does the guy who played Otho still exist?
I don't think so.
Oh,
He's like a critical character in that first film, right?
Doesn't
I'm pretty
he
sure the
die
actor passed
now?
away.
Oh, maybe.
I'm pretty sure the guy that played Otho passed away, and the dad, I don't remember if he passed
He's
away,
dead.
but he went to jail for a long time for bad
He
stuff.
got into some
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
great stuff. Yeah. Can't bring him back.
Nope.
No. Who else was in that movie? Alec Alec Baldwin?
Yeah.
And Gina Davis.
And
No
Gina
signs of them
Davis.
so far, but I bet you they make a cameo.
I mean, there's no fucking way they're not in it.
I mean, hopefully they got those Alec Baldwin scenes done, and
Right?
Yeah.
he's got some shit on his hands. But
Am I the only one who feels like he should not in any way be able to be charged for that?
I don't
I'm not
fully
waiting. I'm
understand
not
it.
waiting into this. I can't.
I know he's not a great guy, but like somebody hands you a prop gun and they're like, "Here you go." Like now he's getting that.
He's another one, though. You bring him back for Beetlejuice 2, and much like Schnars was saying with Michael Keaton being Puffy as Beetlejuice, Alec Baldwin's like expanded. Like
He's a
threefold.
little different looking, yeah. But I mean, but the problem with that is he's a ghost.
Yeah.
So the ghost should look the same. The ghost should look the same as when he died.
Yeah, they'd have to
Right.
be CGI at this point, right?
Right. Food for thought about ghosts.
I'm leaving the door open for it to be fun.
yeah.
I'm gonna see it either way.
Oh, yeah.
Twist, John. That was actually the last
No.
question of the evening.
Twist.
Yep, that's it. That is it. Next week, we are reviewing.
I thought you had it. I thought you had
No,
it.
and then I went and looked at the YouTube chat and I lost it.
You've been
Somebody-
so excited
somebody-
for it,
In a
too.
violent nature.
In a violent nature.
Coming to theatrical cinemas near you.
Rachel, we need a
And-
master list of what Eric is over. 1, body horror. 2, serialized TV. I mean, that list is in my head. If someone wants to help me dictate it, I'm done. It's
We
worth
could be
noting,
here.
John.
We don't have time for this.
It's worth noting, John. I am not putting this film on my top 10, which means Night Swim lives another day.
Hanging tough.
Whoa.
Oh, Night Swim is better, huh?
Night
Still-
Swim better than stop motion.
So brutal.
Wow.
That is 100% though getting like the benefit of the time of year it's falling. Like if stop motion was the first movie we saw, I would have put it on the list because it was the first movie. You know what I mean? So it matters when your movie
I'm not
comes out.
sure you've got a consistent process here.
It's just vibes,
The
man.
consistent part, yes. The consistent part is that I make the rules.
You're just
So
keeping Night Swim alive for the lulls at this point.
I contain multiple.
Just to troll everyone.
You do.
Yeah.
In a
yeah,
violent
so-
nature, it's what was the quote that we've been kicking around?
It's an
Atmosphere. Yeah, ambient
ambient
slasher.
Ambient slasher.
So we'll find out what the hell that means.
So
But
you shouldn't do LSD before you
there
go
were
in.
no,
Is what I've
There
heard.
were a couple of slackers today saying positive things
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I've
I've
heard a
seen
lot of
some
people say
positive
positive
mentions.
things.
Yeah, it was the hit of Sundance for the horror folk.
Part of me hopes that the ambient slasher, like they're bringing back Smell-O-Vision or something.
Oh man.
Like an old, one of the tricks from the 50s or something.
Right.
Hand out barf bags.
AI is
Yeah.
definitely bringing that back at some point.
I did
Yeah.
read today that
like
one of the theater
virtual
chains,
reality.
I think Regal, is expanding their 4D theatrical footprint to like a couple hundred
Is
theaters.
that D-Box or some bullshit?
This is the one where I think it can like spray water at you and it can like make your
Wait,
seat
really?
move and shit. Yeah,
Jesus
they
Christ.
have them. They have one that was like, it's old now, but it was in Central Park at the Central Park Zoo, and they used to show a special Ice Age movie called like
Weird.
Scratch's
I still
Space
don't.
Adventure or something.
I still do not understand what D-Box even is.
It's the moving seats.
That's it? They just move?
Pretty
That's
much.
fucking stupid. Who wants
I think
that?
they have speakers built into the back of the seats and stuff
How am I
like
supposed
that.
to eat the dinner I snuck into the theater if the seat is moving?
Oh, yeah.
Spilled my beer
Great
all over my-
question.
What? Why do I want? Who wants that? They're always the worst seats in the building too. Like what the fuck?
That was another one of my old man theater moments when I first saw those D-Box seats. I'm like, I just want to watch my movie stationary with my butt in the seat. I don't need to move around.
I do like the
Are you
recliner though.
high?
Wait, Eric, where are you on recliner? You want the recliner,
Recliner's
right?
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the recliner.
Who doesn't want to recline?
And I'm down for the heated seats now, too. Those are
There
pretty
is
nice.
only-
Ooh, I've never
one-
seen that.
There's only one theater, and by theater I mean one single room in the capital region of New York that has reclining seats, and it is in the goddamn haunted mall where the projection and the sound are always dog shit. So like,
That's so
Well, you're
weird that
very
they're the ones
comfortable.
that have the fancy seats.
but it's only in one room. And also
Bizarre.
like every time that's the theater that every time I go in there, there's multiple seats with plastic bags and like crime tape over them. Like, don't go in these seats. Like, what the fuck happened there?
Good times.
I'm in a state tonight.
Somebody chucked in the D-box seats. So that's what's happening.
That's right. All right.
Oh God.
That's it for BGH. Good luck with that bingo. Send them in to me on Instagram. I want to share people's bingo cards. All right, everyone. That's going to do it. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
That's another bingo square.